Hello, today I wanted to talk to you about what factors are and how you're going to be working with factors this week. We're going to be working with both factors and multiples. But factors are numbers that you can multiply together to make a new number. I know some of you are thinking, Miss Smith, we haven't really done that much with multiplication. Well, by fourth grade, you definitely should have your multiplication facts down. So it is definitely an expectation to have all of those memorized and done. But I know the reality of the situation is generally that's not something that's happened due to the fact, especially given that you guys were, virtual in the spring last year, and I know that you missed some multiplication strategies in your third grade year. But the big thing to remember is that it's important to continue to practice those multiplication facts at home using that extra math every day so that factors and multiples becomes very easy to use. So factoring is always a tricky thing to teach because it's almost like a chicken or the egg situation where which one comes first. It's really hard to determine which one is easier to learn first, whether it's memorizing your multiplication facts or teaching you factoring and multiplying. But my idea is that it can be kind of molded together. And the reason for that is a factor is simply the numbers that you multiply together to make a new number or the product. So you can see here on this slide, it says a 2 is a factor and the 5 is a factor. The factors are just a fancy name for the numbers that you're multiplying together. Okay, so 2 and 5 would be factors of 10 because you would use them to multiply together to get 10. Same thing for 10 times 1 would be factors of 10 because you would multiply 10 times 1 to get to 10. So when I say what numbers or factors can you multiply together to make the number 4, and it says type in the yellow box, we're not really going to do that. I'm just going to show you, see if I can get my tools to work here. So for example, I know that if I multiply 2 times 2, that would equal 4. So those are factors of 4. And then I also know that 1 times 4 equals 4. So then if I list my factors, it would just simply be 1, 2, and 4. Because you don't list a factor more than once. You only list it once even if it repeats itself. So we got 1, 2, and 4 are our factors for the number 4. So that's pretty easy. The smaller the numbers, obviously, the easier it is. I'm going to get out of this. Oh, if you would just give me. All right. So now what I'm going to look at here with you is the multiplication table. This is actually linked on the Explore slide there. And what I wanted to show you is how to use this multiplication table to your advantage. So if you can't print it off at home, then definitely just having it open as a tab will be useful to you. This is actually a really nice one I found. There's not very often you find one that goes all the way to 20 times 20. So this one will be really helpful. So what I was going to say is, so using this to factor is helpful, especially when you don't know your multiplication facts yet, which is probably about where most of you are sitting right now. So let me go ahead and pull my camera up here and use Ladybug. And so sorry, should have had this all set up for you guys already. That's okay. Just bear with me for a second. Kind of double this up. Pull that down so you can see the whole multiplication chart all at once. And there we go. Okay. All right, so I have my sheet over here. I'm just going to show you real quick. So say we have the number 24. All right, so we have the number 24, and I want to know what are the factors of 24. Oh, that's blurry. Let's get that all cleared up. There we go. All right, so what are the, oh, you know what? He did 24 in the video, didn't he? Let's do a different number. Factors. What are the factors of, we're going to do 36 instead. And that's a question. All right. So what are the factors of 36? So the first thing I'm going to do is say, okay, 36. Now you can do this in a couple different ways. One way that I've showed kids in the past is called factor rainbowing. So I'll show you how to do that. How you do that is you simply make it like a rainbow. So you start with your biggest arch first, and you always start with a 1 times whatever that number is every single time. Because if you multiply 1 times itself, you're going to get that number. So this is how you should start your factoring rainbow every single time. If you're asking for the factors of 42, it's 142. If you're asking for the factors of 20, it's 1 and 20. Whatever it is, that's what you always start with. Then you go ahead and I always go over a little bit, and then I make my next arch. And then I decide, okay, is this an even number? If I look at the ones place, 6, yes, is an even number. So that means 2 has to be a factor. Okay, even if I didn't know that, which you definitely should know how to tell if it's an even or odd number being in 4th grade. But if you look at the ones place and you realize that it's even, but you say to yourself, well, I don't know 2 times what is 36. So off the top of your head, you're thinking, I don't know what 2 times, 2 times what is 36. That's the whole thing with factoring. It's what are you using to multiply? So we know for sure 1 times 36 equals 36. So now we're trying to decide 2 times what equals 36. So that's what this other part of the factor rainbow is. So you have ways that you can do that. You can simply think about what is half of 36, and that would give it to you. Or I can use my multiplication chart. So the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to go to the 2. So I'm looking at the 2 right here. Let's see if I can do this. Okay, so we're looking at the 2. Oh, I want that. There we go. All right, so I'm looking at the 2 here. Nope, it's not letting me do that either. Well, it's just not being very fun. All right, let's see if that works. Nope. We're going to use our pin. Having all kinds of technical difficulties here. All right, so I'm going to go to my 2, and I'm going to look at, okay, I'm at number 2 here. And then I'm going to say to myself, okay, I'm looking for 36. So I'm going to go all the way across. So I'm going to use a different color. It's a little less. Okay. So I'm going to go all the way across until I get to 36. So I'm going across, and boom, there's 36. And then all you have to do, guys, is go straight up. 2 times 18 is 36. So that's how you use that multiplication chart, and it's really useful. All right, then I'm going to draw my next line, and I'm going to say, okay, let's find out if 3 is a factor. So notice how I'm going in order over here, and then whatever it's multiplied by goes over here. So let's see if 3 is a factor. So I'm going to go to my 3. I'm just going to go back. Let's do a different color here. Going to go down to 3 now along the left side. And then I'm going to go across until, oh goodness gracious, until I get to 36, and boom, there it is. Now, if I wouldn't have found it, then that would have told me no, it wasn't. But I found it, and then I just go straight up, and I see, okay, I know that 3 times 12 is 36 because I was able to use my multiplication chart to figure that out. So hopefully you guys are seeing the pattern here. Then I'm going to draw my next arch, and I'm going to put a 4. And now I have to figure out 4 times what? And some of you might be saying, I know, because hopefully now that the numbers are getting a little bit closer together, you are remembering your multiplication facts. So 4 times what? So let's go here. I'm going to choose a different color, and I'm going to go to the 4. Trying to be a little bit more controlled here. This is why printing this off would be really helpful, because then you could just do it like with your fingers. And then I'm going to go across and see if I can find a 36, and boom, there it is. And then I'm going to go up, and I know that there it is, 4 times 9. So then I'm going to put that on the other side of the rainbow. 4 times 9 equals 36. Then I'm going to think to myself before I go to 5. So I'm going to go ahead and draw my line. And before I put a 5 down, though, I'm going to think, in order for this 5 to be a factor, you have to have a 0 or 5 here. And the reason you should know that is because you know that when you count by 5s, the numbers always end in 0 or 5. But I'm still going to show you just in case. So say I put a 5 here, just because, right? So I'm going to go to my 5. I'm going to circle it just like I've been doing, and I'm going to go across and look for 36. And I get to 35, and I get to 40 and I think, okay, well, I went to 40, there's no 36. So therefore, I know that 5 cannot be a factor because there's no 36 going across. Again, notice if you go across the row for 5, every one of these numbers ends in 0 or 5. So that's a big rule. So then I'm going to erase that 5. I'm going to say, nope, 5 is not a factor of 36. So I'm going to skip 5 and go to 6. All right, so now I'm going to go to my 6. Some of you are, again, probably thinking, I know, and that's awesome. But I'm going to show you anyway. So we're going to go to 6, and then we're going to go across. Stay in that row until we get to 36. Boom, right there. And I'm going to go straight up. And I know that 6 times 6 is 36. Here's the other cool thing. Once you get to two numbers that repeat themselves, that means you can stop because there's going to be no more factors. So when it repeats itself, you can stop. So there were two of the same number, so I know that my factor rainbow is complete, that I can't go any further because I've now reached them running into each other, essentially. So when we go to list out our factors, we only list them once. So then I would say, I know that the factors are 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 9, 12, 18, and 36. You don't list 6 twice, just once, but it's there. And that's how you list them out, is by in order from least to greatest. So that's how you use the factor rainbow strategy and the multiplication table to factor out a number. So hopefully that helps. Again, I would recommend printing off your multiplication table. Don't mark it all up though, just use I would just use your fingers to kind of go across and up, or you can use like a piece of paper and follow along, or you can pull it up as a tab on your computer and then use your cursor to go over and up, and it'll work just fine. You could print off a whole bunch of them too as another idea and use like a highlighter or a crayon or a pen and to be able to do the strategy that I showed you here on the computer. So hopefully that helps, and thank you for listening all the way to the end, and have fun practicing with factors today.